You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Karoline Leavitt scrambled to defend lazy attack on youth triggers MAGA backlash, based on an article by Alexander Willis. The White House's youth bashing is not accidental. The insult was the point. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt told Fox News that young Americans are laziness, entitled, and getting everything handed to them, then spent Sunday trying to claw the comment back after the backlash turned on her. The reporting is clear on the basic sequence she spoke. Critics reacted, and her 404-word cleanup only made the mess louder. That is the context. The meaning is sharper. This was not a stray remark from a random pundit. It came from a White House spokesperson, speaking for an administration that treats public communication as combat. When that office targets young Americans with contempt, it is not diagnosing a social problem. It is disciplining a generation and laundering elite hostility as common sense. Power is speaking downward. The relevant power here is institutional, not rhetorical. Leavitt works for the White House. That means her comments are not merely personal vibes, they are part of how political authority speaks. The point of that speech is to define who deserves sympathy, who deserves blame, and who can be dismissed before they ever enter the argument. Young people do not hold that power. They are the target. They are the convenient audience for a morality play in which structural failure becomes a character defect. If wages are stagnant, if housing is absurd, if college debt and precarity shade the entire horizon, blaming laziness is not analysis. It is elite deflection with a babysitter's tone. The cleanup made it worse. Leavitt's response followed the standard script of political damage control: accuse critics of bad faith, insist the remarks were taken out of context, and bury the original offense under volume. It failed badly enough that even her own side mocked the repair job. A former Trump campaign aide, a conservative podcaster, a pro-white nationalist writer, and other right-wing figures all piled on. That matters. The backlash did not come from people suddenly discovering principle. It came from a factional media ecosystem recognizing weakness. On the right, explanations are treated as surrender because the ecosystem rewards dominance, not accountability. Leavitt lost control of the narrative because her own camp could smell the panic. Elite contempt, plainly packaged. The source text also points to why this attack landed as badly as it did. Critics highlighted Leavitt's wealth, including her marriage to millionaire real estate developer Nicholas Rixio, 32 years her senior. That detail is not gossip for its own sake. It is the frame of the hypocrisy. A spokesperson linked to wealth and power insulting young people as spoiled and lazy is a familiar American performance. It converts privilege into moral judgment. It tells people struggling through an unaffordable adulthood that their problem is attitude, not the system built to squeeze them. That is not accidental cruelty. It is class messaging with better hair. What the right actually revealed. The episode exposed something the press release version of politics usually hides. The MAGA ecosystem is happy to weaponize resentment downward, but it has no stable way to control it once it turns inward. Leavitt's comments were meant to echo a hierarchy in which the young are irresponsible, the powerful are justified, and the White House gets to play schoolmarm from the top of the pile. Instead, the pile started shifting. Right-wing critics did not defend young Americans out of solidarity. They defended the tribe, the brand, and their own standing inside it. That still reveals the same thing. This political culture is built to humiliate the vulnerable while sparing the powerful from scrutiny. The deeper pattern, the larger pattern is straightforward. Authoritarian politics depends on contempt. It needs downward blame because it cannot survive honest accounting for inequality, precarity, and elite entitlement, so it substitutes character attacks for material explanation, and it recruits spokespersons to make that substitution sound normal. Leavitt's comments were not a lapse from that system. They were an expression of it. When the White House tells young Americans they are lazy, it is not speaking truth to power. It is power speaking down to the people it expects to absorb the damage. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Rosh's story for today's article with the automated voice of John. Thanks for listening.